everyone, this is Erin with Lizzie Knits, and I want to explain what does it mean to bind off in pattern. And pretty much that means at the end you want to knit the knit stitches and purl the purl stitches, and you're going to have to kind of read along to what your last row was of the project before the bind off. And this technique can apply to all sorts of texture, but knit and purl stitches. So I just look here, I have some ribbing. So that's a knit, a purl, knit, purl. And I have these little edges here that's all garter stitch. So these are 5 stitches of all just knit stitches. So I know when I start doing my bind off, set up here, and we work a bind off 1 stitch at a time. So I know that these first 5 are all going to be knit, but then when I get the edge out of the way, when I start getting into this section, we have a knit, purl, knit, purl. Oh, okay, so let's start binding off. So first stitch, like I said, 5 knit stitches first. This one is knit. Okay, so we'll knit that one. And I can't start binding off yet because you can only bind off a stitch when you have 2 stitches on the right needle. So let's do the next stitch, which is knit. And now I have 2 stitches on the right needle, so I can lift the previous one over the stitch you just made. Okay, so let's get another stitch on the right needle. This is a knit stitch, so I will also knit it, and then I can lift the back stitch over the front one. Oops, the yarn's splitting. Okay, and again, I know this is a knit stitch. I'll lift that over, and this is garter stitch, so it might look like a purl stitch, but it actually is knit, and I know that from what I was working in the pattern. Okay, so the little border here is now bound off. Okay, and get into the ribbing here. I know this is a knit stitch. Oops. Knit it, lift the old stitch over. Okay, now this is a purl stitch because now I'm in my 1 by 1 ribbing. Purl this stitch this time and bring the second stitch over. Now I'm back to a knit stitch. Okay. Bring this stitch over. A purl stitch, bring this stitch over, knit stitch, and okay, yep, I got a purl stitch. So basically you're just working another row of your design, but in the bind off. So here's kind of what it looks like, and a few things about this bind off. I prefer to knit my bind offs a little tight. So I'm making these stitches a little tighter because we don't want this final top edge to fan out. Like, you want to keep it uniform. So knitting tight is always okay, or you can even go down a needle size or 2 needle sizes so you get a nice snug bind off. When knitting in pattern, the whole point of it is to have the same consistency of the rest of your work. It's not really a stretchy bind off, it's just so it has the same width. So I'm happy with this. It's pretty standard. Like I said, this is not a stretchy bind off, that would just a different technique. But we just want it to be the same as the rest of, oops, can't get that one over, the pattern, because what I'm knitting right here is basically a rectangle. So like, I want all the edges to be crisp and nice and laid flat. Okay, so that's about, that about wraps it up. You just keep going the rest and just keep following and do whatever stitch you're on. Okay, and when you get to the end, you'll have 2 stitches, 2 stitches on the right needle. You can just take the second one off, and then you'll just have 1 stitch on the right needle, trim the yarn, and weave it through that final stitch and pull tight. All right, so there we go, binding off in pattern. And like I said, I happen to have 1 by 1 ribbing, knit, purl, knit, purl. This can apply to many different textures. It could be knit 2, purl 2, then you would follow it along with whatever your design is. Okay, thanks for watching.